phone on airplane mode again. Now, for those of you that like detailed information about karma, what I'm going to start with is the Yogacara school of their contribution to karma and karmic theory. How does that sound? Scholarly?
Put on our thinking caps.
Yeah, put on your thinking cap.
That's right.
And Yogacara means a practitioner of meditation or yoga. And it comes from India a long time ago. And they stated that everything we experience is experienced through our mind. Everything that we know is known by our mind. So they're called the mind-only school. But that is a bit of a misnomer because of other reasons that I'm not going to go into, at least not yet. So when we're talking about mind, it can't be left out of our version of reality. But it doesn't mean that everything is mind, because we've got the 5 elements. So the main contribution is, how can there be rebirth without an unchanging self? And the Buddha didn't directly address that. And so they came up with the 8 consciousnesses. So now we're going to get into numbers. This is something, if you're not familiar with Tibetan Buddhism, we have our numbers. And so we have 5 sense consciousnesses: eyes, ears, tongue, nose, and then touch or feeling. And our bodies have feelings all over the place. My feet have feelings when I'm on a hard surface and I don't have my shoes on, for instance. But our senses do not make decisions. They don't decide, I like this, I don't like that. This is pleasant, that's unpleasant. Our eyes are a bit like a camera lens. And so the 6th consciousness is our mental consciousness, our mind, that takes in information from the 5 senses and then embellishes it. I like this. I don't like that. I need more of lunch.
We have a second person for refuge today.
Oh. Oh. My ear consciousness heard that. And then we have the 7th consciousness that is called the klesha consciousness. And that is always adding to it. This is about me. And so I have the lyrics from a song that some of you may know and some of you may not know. All through the day, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. All through the night, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. Now they're frightened of leaving it, everyone's weaving it, coming on strong all the time. All through the day, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. And I'm not going to sing this one either. Even those tears, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. Flowing more freely than wine. That's the Klesha consciousness. That's the Beatles. And so the seventh consciousness is adding on, this is all about me. Constantly, all about me. And then the eighth consciousness is called the storehouse consciousness, or the all-base consciousness. And then after it gets filtered through the seventh consciousness, it goes to be stored there. In my mind, and I'm not a nerd, but this reminds me of hard drive on your cloud storage. And then, then we bring it up later. Now it's a habitual pattern. Karma. Now the interesting thing about the eighth consciousness is just like a file, a document on your computer, you can bring it up and edit it. And you can change it. You can bring it up and take something that you thought was good and now think that was a bad experience, a bad memory, or vice versa. And so this is what we take with us to our next life, is this eighth consciousness with our karma in it and our habitual patterns. And so that's how they explained rebirth. And again, it's not reincarnation where a cookie cutter of you in the present is manifested. But it is what determines the direction we're going in our next life. Again, quoting from Tralling Rinpoche, therefore, it is not just the continuum of consciousness that is a carrier of our karmic traces and dispositions, but also the all-base consciousness. It is the latter that transports karmic traces and dispositions to another life. So that's what the Yogacara school added to karmic theory. And an example of this is that you've had dirty socks in your dresser drawer. Yeah, some men do that. Women wouldn't, of course. So you take them out, but then when you open the door a week later, it still smells like dirty socks. That's karmic traces. That's the eighth consciousness. So you have this hanging around. And this is equivalent to the Western idea of our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind. And so this is where our habits are. Our habits are formed here, and it's involuntary because it's unconscious. We're not aware of it. Now, with a lot of meditation, we become more aware of what's going on inside, and that's always good. You might not like what you become aware of, but it's good to be aware of it. And it's good to feel, I finally am aware of this. Now I can perhaps work with it skillfully. If you're not aware of it, you won't work with it. So it's important to work with meditation, work with our awareness, and become more aware of our habitual patterns, our negativity, and so forth. It's easy to go, oh, I'm a dumb idiot. Look, I keep doing this thing. And then, of course, you don't learn anything. You just learn to denigrate yourself. As long as we don't work with it, even if we see it, there's no freedom. We just are slaves to whatever comes up, whatever we've hidden down there, and so forth. Now, the first six consciousnesses, the five sense consciousness and the mental consciousness, they're unstable. Your eye is only working when you see something, or ear when you're hearing something. And then a lot of times we ignore what we see, ignore what we hear, and so forth, and we still aren't hearing it. And the mental consciousness is the same way. When we're using it, we may have an awareness, but a lot of times we're kind of oblivious. And in fact, this is one way to not meditate. And that is like this. There was a big billboard on the interstate that said, "Find your happy place in the mall." And of course, a young woman in yoga pants sitting in lotus position with this big grin on her face. Yeah, find your happy place in the mall. Well, so meditating with a big grin on your face is probably, maybe you found your happy place, but you're not meditating. And another way to not meditate is to go like this. Yeah. I could have been a comedian, right? Don't meditate like this. Don't meditate like this. Keep that awareness. Keep your awareness. And so the first six are unstable. The seventh and the eighth are stable. They're constantly there. They don't come and go. And the Yogacara school also emphasized Buddha nature, which is a very important point, that all of us have Buddha nature. We have the potential to become a fully enlightened being. It's there. It's never been separated from us. And it's just a matter of removing the obstacles to experiencing that and encouraging it to flower and bloom. So there are the 4 dharmas of Gampopa, and the last one is just four lines. Let's see if I can remember this. Grant your blessings that my mind may follow the Dharma. May my mind start paying attention to the Dharma and follow it. That grant your blessings that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessings that confusion may be clarified. And then the last one is grant your blessings that confusion dawns as wisdom. And so this is kind of how you progress along the path. And confusion dawning as wisdom is that you realize that samsara and nirvana, you don't have samsara here and nirvana there. That the two are inseparable. I believe that's in the Mahamudra lineage supplication that we chanted this morning, because they're both coming from our mind. You don't have a place where negative things come from and samsara comes from, and a place where all the good things come from. They're coming from the same place. And an analogy that is used frequently in the Mahayana is you have the sun shining, but then the clouds of confusion block it. Just like the clouds on a cloudy day in Florida block the sun. Well, that's dualistic. You have the sun, you have the clouds, and you remove the clouds, and you've got the sun. I like a picture from the Hubble telescope. We're not going to try to get it on the screen now, Mike. Don't worry. But it is a picture of stars being born. And I don't know how far away this is, how many light years away it is. But it's one heck of a long distance from Earth. This could be billions of years ago that this was happening. But what you have are clouds of gas and dust, and then in the middle of them are these orange glows. And it's a sun being born from the clouds of gas and dust. I like that much better than the dualism, where the clouds of gas and dust are just the seeds of the sun of enlightenment. That the confusion, the metaphor is the clouds of gas and dust, dawns as a sun, as wisdom. So we don't have to get rid of the confusion. We just have to see it as confusion and use it. So that's about Buddha nature. Now we're going to get really complicated here. And that is, what I have here is Madhyamaka, Nagarjuna, Chandra Kirti. Does that sound complicated? So we have the ultimate truth and we have relative truth. The relative truth changes. That's what, if it's relative, it changes. If it's ultimate, it doesn't change. And so I used the example of a dictionary this morning. Dictionary is relative truth. It's comparison. This means that because that explains this. And the ultimate is beyond words. It's beyond concepts. It's you experience it, but you can't say anything about it. And karma only exists in the relative. Karma is relative truth. It is not ultimate. It changes. And because of that, we can transcend it. We can go beyond karma. Someone asked me at lunch, I think, about what can you do with karma? Well, we can transcend it. You can look in your rearview mirror and say goodbye. Well, again, going back to the Mahamudra lineage supplication, it ends with, may we attain the state of Vajradhara. It does not say, may we become Buddhas. Because in Vajrayana, you have Vajradhara as the primordial Buddha who has never been confused, never needed to travel the path to enlightenment. Vajradhara, the state of Vajradhara is ultimate, unchanging, our Buddha nature. So in Vajrayana, our aspiration is to experience the state of Vajradhara rather than becoming a Buddha. And that might be a fine point, but that's the aspiration at the end of that lineage supplication. And to quote Tralik Rinpoche, it is the exhaustion of our karmic propensities and tendencies that is the ultimate end. No more karma. It's gone. And you can attain this in the bardo, which that's interval between death and birth, various ways. I can't remember if I talked about this in previous visits at the bardo, but I could talk it in future visits. Oh, yes. I have to tell you that I talked about Yungne and how my health improved. Well, I'm having a Yungne at my center the Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to just throw that out there. My email is 108yeshe@gmail.com. If you can't remember that one, I don't know what you can remember. There's 108 beads in a mala. My name is Lama Yeshe. Yes.
Is it possible to have a Zoom, Lama?
No.
No.
No, it's intense.
You have to show up.
You have to show up.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
No harm in asking.
Yeah, it starts with a Friday night talk. I'm having Lama Tenzin, this new Lama that's living with me now. He's younger than I am, in better physical condition than I am in, and he'll be leading it. But Friday night I will give an introductory talk, going over, you might say, the nuts and bolts of the retreat, the rules of the retreat, the schedule, and so forth. But it starts at 5 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning.
Sounds wonderful.
What's that?
It sounds wonderful.
I'm glad you think it's wonderful. Yeah, and then it will You get a big meal at lunch, all you can eat. But there is a rule, and that is once your seat leaves the chair that you're sitting in, you're done eating. So don't get up accidentally. Because that's the last solid food you're going to get until Monday morning. And some people seem to get hungry in between. After 10 o'clock at night, you can't even drink thin liquids like water. So the next day, no food, no water. It's a purification practice. It works with desire. But anyway, there will be more in the future too. So I'm kind of getting off, going off into the other things. So going back to the eighth consciousness, what goes into the eighth consciousness is our projections, our mental imputations. I have a little line drawing which I can't show you because I don't have a screen here, and I never talked to Mike about this. But I gathered this off the internet without permission. But it's a line drawing of a man sitting in a chair, and in front of him is the old-fashioned home movie screen where you would show a movie. And on top of his head is an old-fashioned movie projector. And so he's watching it. And he's believing every scene. And so this is what goes into our eighth consciousness, all these projections of ours. I showed this a number of times to inmates, and one said, "Oh, so that's what the psychiatrist meant when he said I was projecting." Yeah. Sometimes, visuals can be very helpful. So, we fixate on our thoughts. We think that they are real. They project or produce more thoughts. And in my notes here, this is my own word, the mind goes wild. Just keep going on and on and on. And to quote Tralik Rinpoche, not only do we give more reality to what we see, smell, taste, touch, but we even start to imagine all kinds of things existing that do not exist irrevocably. This is an in-joke here.
We were trying to fit that word in somewhere earlier this week.
It's not a word. But it's used all the time.
Yeshe, with the eighth storehouse consciousness, are all memories stored there?
Yes.
Including like memories of past lives and things of this nature?
I guess so, but you and I probably don't have any of those.
I don't remember yesterday's breakfast.
Yeah.
So, is that considered? You mentioned that the eighth consciousness.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back. I'm going to, you might say, eat my words.
Okay.
And that is that what happens when you attain a state of realization, you can see into the three times, and it's not your eighth consciousness,
Okay.
is that you can just plain see. You have the eye of wisdom, and you see these things. You see the minds of other beings. You see their karma. The Buddha recalled all his previous lives. And so I'm glad I caught myself I was talking about what I didn't know, which is that is not stored in the eighth consciousness. But now you have given me a straight line.
All right.
I've done many different things in my life, and I will joke and say, not only do I remember my previous lives, I've got pictures. And if I had time, I'd show you some. But for instance, I have a picture of me with a team of horses and a manure spreader. Yeah, you didn't see that coming. One summer, I was a lifeguard in Hawaii. Didn't see that one coming either, did you? I had a summer job working for my grandmother. Well, she was a mortician, and the job included going to hospital morgues and picking up corpses. She was this very sweet grandmother. And I worked in an oil field in Kansas one summer. My dad got me that job. It was a producing oil field, not one that was being drilled. They were existing wells. And a lot of different things, and I've got pictures. But yeah, but I don't have any knowledge of actual previous lives.
I spoke with Barter Toker of Yeshe about this. You know, he was one of the principal students of Guru Yeshe.
Uh-huh.
And we had, at the time, a scroll painting in Tonka of Guru Yeshe and his principal disciples. And I asked Rinpoche, I said, which one is you? You know? And he says, I don't. He just kind of sidestepped it. And then after lunch, he quietly came up and he said, this is me. It's not a very good likeness.
Yeah.
Barter Rinpoche is considered a Tulku, or a reincarnated Lama.
Yeah.
It traces incarnations all the way back to the historic birth.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful.
So to go on here, and this actually in my notes is talking about what you asked. So prajna, wisdom. This is a quote. Prajna destroys all karmic traces and dispositions. Yeah, that's a simple quote. And so, prajna is wisdom that is developed through study, contemplation, insight meditation, and so forth. The insight meditation increases our prajna, and that this increases our positive karma, and then gradually, you could say it reaches, going back to that sun analogy, a critical mass, and it goes thermonuclear, and you realize jhana, which is primordial wisdom. So that's how it works. And the fruition of prajna is the experience of emptiness. And so here is the way I explained experience versus intellectual understanding when I was in Gainesville. Now, all of you have an intellectual understanding of cold weather, right? Yeah, the coldest the Weather Service has recorded where I live was 47 below zero. I was there that day. So I have direct experience of 47 below zero. All you have is intellectual understanding of that. And you probably do not want to have direct experience of 47 below
May we
zero.
not have the direct experience.
But I think that's pretty clear, the difference between understanding intellectually and experience. So, yes, this is about the direct experience of emptiness. And you can read all about it that you want, book after book after book, and so forth. But it's just words, and it's not the actual experience.
How, can I ask a question? How would you know that it's emptiness? Where when you have that direct experience, you're just not in a body anymore?
No, this is what Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche would say, that it would be like a person that cannot speak, that is dumb, I think is the English word, dumb, not being stupid, but can't speak. Tasting sugar. They know they taste sugar, but they can't say anything about it. And if you have any questions, obviously talk to a qualified Lama about whether you experienced emptiness or not. That's what I would say. But it would be an experience that is, again, non-conceptual, and it's like nothing you have ever experienced before, but it's also temporary. It's not permanent. You just get a glimpse of emptiness, and then you go back to your ordinary confusion. Rinpoche told this story in retreat, and it would have been a retreat in Tibet, 3-year retreat, or maybe it wasn't a 3-year retreat. The man was in retreat, and he had this experience of emptiness, and as a result, he could walk through a wall. And and it was a 3-year retreat now that I think about it. So he just walked through the wall and got out of retreat. Well, he wanted to get back in, and since it was a temporary experience, he had to knock on the door, and the retreat master let him back in. So if you can walk through a wall, you're experiencing emptiness.
Yeshe, why is it temporary?
Because
is it karma?
yeah, it's you experience it, but it again is temporary because you still have not eliminated all the obstacles that you have. The stages of the path, they're called bhumis, and not B-O-O-M-I-E-S, it's B-H-U-M-I-S. And that means ground or level. And experience of emptiness is the first bhumi. And there are 9 more. And the 10th one is complete Buddhahood. So you go through a lot more, and you're purifying various obscurations. And then eventually you get to complete Buddhahood.
What's the second one?
Well, the first one is called the joyful one, because you experience egolessness for a short period of time, and it's like, oh, this is great. You're feeling happy. You've lifted this burden off of your shoulders or off of your mind. I'd have to look, but I have been giving teachings on this Tuesday night, and if you like, a little later on, I'll look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2:45, and we've got another hour and 15 minutes to go. And fortunately, for some reason or another, I'm feeling more energized now than I was at 2 o'clock. I think that lunch was making me feel sleepy. But I'll look this up when it comes to the Q&A session. I'm not sure what else I have to go through here. Let me look. Oh, I've got lots of things to cover. So I'm going to go back to where I was. I don't think I'm going to get through everything. And it's just the way it is. There's so much to cover. They say that one part of Dharma leads to everything else.
Can you say the seventh one again, the seventh consciousness?
It's called the klesha consciousness.
Klesha.
This is where we are just putting our ego on everything that we experience. This is my experience. I, me, mine.
With the song, yes.
Yes.
And what was the eighth one? You said it had to do with projections.
The all base consciousness.
All base.
Yeah, it's called the eighth consciousness, the alaya consciousness, and a few other words too. It's like sometimes, this is the problem, is they translate one word into English and give you 10 English words that mean the same thing. And it's like we get very confused because we think we're talking about different things and we're actually talking about the same thing. Now he's going to take my picture. I feel like a rock star. Anyway, let's see.
This is, the timing of this question needs to be delayed until a later time that I understand. But is by its nature consciousness always dualistic? In other words,
No.
self and other?
No, it's not. Only in samsara.
Only in samsara.
Yeah. But it goes through the seventh consciousness, and that puts it into very dualistic terms. And even the sixth consciousness is judging and comparing. I'm old because there are other people here that are young, or at least younger than me. And I think it's daylight because it was night earlier. It's hot because compared to where I left, it was cold. And so on, that we compare these things constantly, and it's all very dualistic. Black, white, yellow, maroon. And that's just what we do in relative reality. Now, going back to the eighth consciousness, here is a quote by Tralik Rinpoche that I think will help shed a little light on this. There is no strict separation of the cognitive aspect of our mind and its emotional and affective aspect. That's affective, affective. That in samsara we are highly influenced by our emotional state, our moods, and so on and so forth. That's the way things work. And but with some meditation, maybe a lot of meditation and some insight, we can start realizing that these we don't have to let our emotions control our mind. And we can, you might say, cultivate positive emotions like gratitude, loving kindness, empathy, and so forth. We can cultivate those, and these are very positive, and they help us progress on the path. So let's see here. I'm just going to fast forward here. So that begs the question, what is reality? Again, I talked about ultimate reality and relative reality. Ultimate reality, in a way you could say it's emptiness. And this gets difficult to understand because we've already gone through what is emptiness, how do you know if you experience it, and on and on and on. I would say don't be too concerned about this, more to just think about it, contemplate it, and realize that things appear even though they are empty, and that emptiness is actually full of possibility because everything arises from emptiness. Everything does. So if everything arises from emptiness, that means everything is possible. Now, it doesn't mean that you can now become a porpoise. But there's a lot of possibility in emptiness. And that this is very, very important, that we limit ourselves. Because we feel safer when we have a barrier between ourselves and the rest of the world. There is a saying that I like, which is, the seed never sees the flower. And, well, you've got to crack the seed if you're going to flower. You got to get out of your shell. And it can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. And in fact, the boundary between ego and not ego is fear. You know you're getting out of your territory when fear arises. You're getting into the unfamiliar, the unknown. And that's when you throw your backpack over the wall. If you have that kind of courage and bravery.
So you were saying when you start feeling fear, you know you're moving beyond ego.
Well, at least you've gotten to the edge of your ego territory when the fear arises. Mm-hmm. When you go beyond the fear, then you have gone beyond ego.
Yeah, you've already thrown the backpack and you're like, well, now I gotta climb the wall.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And it doesn't mean that then a little later a new fence is going to go up. Because that's the way our ego is. Yeah, that it's always looking for its territory, for security, and it comes up with all kinds of games that it plays with us to trick us into thinking that maybe by following ego, we're actually progressing on the path. I know I told this to a few people that I had a man tell me this once with a big grin on his face. I used to be proud I wasn't arrogant. Does that sound like ego? So look deeply when you're starting to feel pride or whatever. That our ego is very, very tricky. Chogyam Trungpa used the analogy of a cocoon and a butterfly, which is actually not totally accurate because a cocoon is a moth and a butterfly is in a chrysalis. But the idea is that your ego builds this very comfortable, secure, small, claustrophobic space. And if you are going to, you have the potential to become a beautiful butterfly, but you have to leave the cocoon. And I am going to show you this. The heck with the poor people online. And those of you that are out there, come in closer. I'm going to show you a picture of a moth that I took.
Can I approach?
Yes, please approach. Yes, can you see that?
Oh, wow.
That's my hand. That is a moth.
Wow.
Beautiful.
At its birth.
What's that?
At its birth. It's being born here.
No,
No?
no, it was already born.
Okay.
And that moth has one purpose. It's a male.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking for a female.
Beautiful.
And you see that?
We'll call it.
Yes. If I were a moth,
It's called a cecropia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called a cecropia. I think I've shown you this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
People online can see it just.
Oh, they can see it too? Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I might do a slideshow. But yeah, that's the potential inside of us if we just get out of our little cocoon. And I had no trouble identifying it. I just Googled large moth. Came right up. The next section that I have here is, and I like this title, the meaning in life and fear of death. So, understanding karma helps us understand the long-term effect of our actions of body, speech, and mind. It's intended this way so that we can behave in a way that is more in our own best interest and the best interests of the people that we come in contact with. We don't want to be a pain in the rear end of other people. We don't want to lead them in negative directions. We want to help other people. By paying attention to karma, we can behave better, we can become better people, we can become examples for other people to follow. And this creates meaning in our lives, and it can create meaning in the lives of other people that we come in contact with. And that is very important. Another quote by Tralik Rinpoche, The Buddhist position is to suggest that in order to make life more meaningful, we need to become more aware, more conscious, more attentive, and by doing so, we gradually become more enlightened as to the purpose of life. And so, here's another personal joke. My mother would tell me to behave myself. And I'm telling you now, behave yourself. I didn't necessarily listen to her when I was young, but the whole point of karma is for us to realize it's very important for us to behave ourselves according to Buddhist ethics. She would also tell me to act my age.
How's that going?
I'm finally figuring it out. I'm trying to act like an 80-year-old man. I was being prepped for cataract surgery a few years ago, so a nurse was going over my medications, asking me all kinds of questions about that. And then finally she said, "Do you feel safe at home?" And so I told her, I feel safer since I got rid of my safety roofing harness. I bought this safety roofing harness to work on my barn roof, and the peak of the barn is 38 feet off the ground. Yeah, so if I don't have it, I can't get up on the barn roof. Doesn't that make you, I feel safer? Yeah, the poor nurse though. The things that I do to people. But when she finally got it, she did get a smile on her face. So anyway, and it's interesting that even in Buddhism, where we have Dewa Chen, possibility when you die, people aren't staying in line waiting for Dewa Chen. I go to doctors, and let's wait. Let's just wait a little bit on that one. So it's important in this, to a certain extent, to have a fear of death and dying, so that will help you to be more mindful in your actions in the present time. It would be very foolish to think, well, when I die, I'll cross that bridge when it happens. That would be like thinking, I only need my seatbelt when I'm in an accident, and I'll put the seatbelt on when I'm having the accident. That
Doesn't work.
no, that doesn't work. So fasten your seatbelt. Practice. And contemplate death, contemplate your own death, contemplate the death of other people. It was the death of my best friend that led me to become a Buddhist. At first, it just made me feel that life was worthless, because I had no spiritual foundation. And I realized that at the time of death, nothing will help you in terms of the material world. Your house, your family, your wealth or lack of it, your car, your team of horses, none of that will help you. And he was perfectly healthy up until the time of the accident. so it's important to contemplate your own death, and then instead of being afraid, do something about it. Like Rinpoche says that one of the problems about death is that we're afraid that everything we've worked for in our life will be meaningless at the time of death. Well, it's true. It will be meaningless. You can't take it with you. And if you think about it, everything that you have accumulated in your life now is going to be a problem for somebody else that has to clean up your mess. If I was cleaning up somebody else's mess, I would call up a roll-off company and have a big dumpster rolled off right by the house. And maybe some of it I would find homes for, but the bulk of it was like... And I know that would happen at my place too, for a lot of things. The Dharma, of course, I've got homes for. But the things that we think are so valuable, and well, I had, my wife and I split up, my former wife and I got to be careful here. I could give people the wrong idea. When we split up, I had an auction, and I thought my stuff was just so valuable. I really thought it was just wonderful stuff. And I worked real hard cleaning it up, organizing it, and and then we had to split up half of what the property got at the auction. And when I got the check for my half, it was like, I should have had a roll-off. And I mean, you know, that's the way we value what we have, but other people don't. So to go on here, yeah, he talks about how in the West that people don't really talk much about death, that people die in hospitals and nursing homes very seldom. When I worked that summer for my grandmother, only one time did we pick up a body at a home. That people die in hospitals, nursing homes, and that sort of thing. And so many people really have not had close contact with a person that is dying. And when I worked for my grandmother, cremations were extremely rare. I don't remember doing a single cremation that summer. And her business, her son was working with her. I think he was in charge of the business by this time. They did a lot of business. My cousin is now in charge of it, and he's training his son to take over. And my cousin said that this is Madison, Wisconsin, and the greater Madison area, that this funeral home, which has many different locations in the greater Madison area, does 54% of the business in the greater Madison area. He said the competitors have to split up the rest amongst themselves. So they're very successful at what they do and very good at what they do. And he also said that when COVID struck, they buried a lot of people and did not get paid. But they still held the funerals and took care of business. And the housing crisis of 2008, again, it was the same thing. But where I'm going with this is that when a person is embalmed, what you hear is, he looks better dead than when he was alive. And I'm serious about this. Talk about denial of death. But you're trained to do that. The embalming fluid has color in it, and you bring the skin back to a normal flesh tone, as opposed to a person that is all dehydrated and shrunken and discolored. And I guess that's the way people like it. Yes?
There's a small joke here. I don't know if you want to hear this now or wait until later. It deals with that very subject you just mentioned.
Well, go ahead.
It's entirely up to you. So this is your teaching. I don't want to interrupt it. But if you want me to, I will.
Go ahead.
Okay. The widow had just lost her husband, and he was in the mortuary, and he was being prepared for the wake that was going to come the following day. So she went over to speak to the funeral director. They went down into the mortuary. She looked at her husband in the casket, and she said, he looks wonderful. You've done wonders for him. But I don't like the color of his suit. He's wearing his gray suit. Gray was not his color. Can you find another colored suit? Maybe like a brown suit. So he said, "Madam, your wish is our command. We will do the utmost to please you tomorrow." So the next morning, the wake is, the casket's there, the casket is opened, and the widow goes down. She looks down at her husband, and she said, "Oh, I love what you've done, and I love the brown suit you found for him. It's perfect." And the funeral director says, "Madam, your wish is our command, and we're so happy to please you. Besides, it was no trouble at all. We just switched his head for the other guy's head." That's the joke. But you're absolutely right about the taboo. It's still a taboo subject.
Yeah, Shogun Prabhupada said that death is the real pornography in this country. The subject that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Sexual pornography, everybody's talking about it.
Taboo, yeah.
On the other hand, when you die, you might have life insurance. You might have car insurance. You might have property insurance, health insurance, and maybe 10 other kinds of insurance. And so you still believe in impermanence, but you somehow think that you are immune from impermanence. So it's good to keep this in mind, both in terms of practice, keeping motivated. It might seem a little bit gruesome, but remember that your practice is the one thing you will take with you into your next life. And you want to have a good next life. You don't want to have, let's just say, a not so good next life. So it's very important that we keep in mind impermanence, and that very simply, life is too precious to squander. That it's a wonderful life, and we have. You're here in the KTC. You have a lot of different teachers that come here. You have regular programs here. Take advantage of it.
Can Can you speak a little bit to contemplating death?
Sure.
Like how
Well, how about
would
this?
you do that without wishing suicide?
Yeah, yeah. Well, how about writing down a list of all the people you know that have died and look at it from time to time. At one time in my life, I thought it was dangerous to be my friend because I had so many die in accidents. And I knew a man that died at his computer making out his will. That it's dangerous to make out your will. It's dangerous driving the car. It's dangerous getting up in the morning. There's an infinite number of causes of death, and many people I know have died when they were healthy up until the accident. And I would hear them say, well, my parents or grandparents lived to 90 something. I'm going to live to 100. And at 42, they're gone. I've had friends that have died in their 20s. The postmaster in Ridgeland had a little Lucy porcelain figure with her in her psychiatric booth, a quarter. And I finally found out what that was all about. And the line in Ridgeland for the post office was not because there were so many people there, but because the customers would be talking to the postmaster, a woman. And she finally told me her story and why she had that porcelain figure there. When she was young, she newly married. Soon she became pregnant and gave birth to a healthy child. And excuse me. At the age of approximately 1, she went to the child's crib, and the child was dead. Sudden infant death syndrome. And she was devastated. But she went to the library and checked out every book that she could find about grieving and death. And she wrote off to the authors. So she was proactive. She wasn't a Buddhist. She never talked about religion or spirituality. But she only received one answer from all her letters, and it was from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And she wrote back, "Why don't you attend one of my seminars?" So she did. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is the one that came up with the 5 stages of grieving. And I think this made a huge difference in the woman's life. She became pregnant again and had a healthy child. And child graduated from high school in college, and by now probably finished with college, married, and has her own family, and on and on and on. Well, I think that opened up that postmaster's heart. And she said that people would come in here like I was a bartender and just start pouring out their problems to her. And that's when she put in that porcelain statue of Lucy. And so understanding death can open up your heart when you realize that other people are going through a lot of pain when they lose somebody. And so you don't have to shut down. You can use that to open up your heart. And so keep that in mind. Maybe think about the people that you know that have died. And but instead of having revulsion about it, let it open up your heart. There's a Tibetan saying that I heard from a woman. I have never heard this from a Lama, but a Tibetan woman told me this one time, that if you have a warm place in your heart for yourself, you will be comfortable wherever you go. Now, I think that's a wonderful saying. That should be a bumper sticker.
Wasn't there the story a woman came to the Buddha, her child had died, and she was grieving and asked for a miracle, and he told her to go to every household in the village, and any household that had not been touched by death, to collect one mustard seed from each house. And she went to each house, and every house had experienced death. This is just the nature of our existence. And she came back to the Buddha and realized why he had asked her to do that, because suddenly she saw that she wasn't alone in this, that this was a universal.
Yes. So, anyway, that was actually in my notes, so it's an important point. Now I don't have to bring that up.
I've been going through your computer.
You said if you keep a warm spot in your heart for yourself, you'll always have a soft home.
You will be comfortable wherever you go.
You'll be comfortable wherever you go.
Yeah. Comfortable. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow afternoon, you're going to get a handout, and we're going to do a little Tonglen, and this will be in the handout. And it's called Unlocking the Heart, the exercise we're going to do. So you're all welcome to come and unlock your heart. Let me see here. It's 3:23. I'm just scrolling through my notes, trying to. I have much more here than I could possibly cover, but I did get to the end of my notes. So as they say, the end is near. Maybe this would be a good time to open it up to questions and answers, which we've already been doing anyway. So any questions that you have? Yes?
So I've heard, it might have been you, I can't remember what teaching it was at, but someone asked, what is emptiness in general?
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because emptiness means nothing in Western, the word, if you go to the dictionary, like emptiness is nothing. But someone said, teacher said, emptiness is a space for things to happen. Is that?
That's one way to look at it, absolutely. Yeah. Emptiness is full of possibilities.
Thank you.
Everything arises from emptiness and returns to emptiness. And so that's a good way to put it, possibilities. And I saw your hand.
I was hoping you could give a definition for being. What is a being? And what is mind?
Yeah, so being, you mean like a sentient being? A human being?
Not sure what would be the difference between, any two beings. I don't know. That's why I ask.
Okay, he asked about the definition of being and
A being.
of what?
A being.
Of a being. So a sentient being is one that is aware, that has mind and can distinguish between happiness and suffering. That is how a sentient being is defined. Knowing the difference between happiness and suffering. So there is this concept of awareness as opposed to my computer does not give a darn if it crashes.
So a being has a subjective experience?
Well, I'm talking about a sentient being as an individual that is aware when it's suffering or not suffering. That's how I'm using it. Now, there also is being, which is a verb, I believe. My English is not that good, even though it's my first language. But what are the different, what's the past tense of being? Been? Yeah. Are you referring to it in that way? Be, been?
No, a being like you and I, for example, or a dog. These are all beings. You know?
Yeah. Then in that case, I go back to what I said. A being is one that can distinguish between happiness and suffering. That my computer does not feel unhappy if it doesn't do what I want it to do. If it crashes, it is not unhappy. But me being a being, I might be unhappy. I once was getting ready to go on to visit a center and give teachings, and my computer crashed. I was unhappy. So I took it to a place, and they were able to fix it, fortunately, because I had not backed it up in quite a while, and my talk would have been lost if they could not have brought back that computer to, you might say, where it was before it crashed. Does that help?
It does. And so what is mind?
A mind is awareness. It is not substantial. It's not the brain. It's not the body. But it unites with the body, and it's going to be a human birth at the time of conception. But the mind is not substantial. That's why it keeps going lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It can't die.
Well, the Tibetan is Semchen, or sentient beings, and Sem is that crazy active mind, and that Chen means possessing or having. So all sentient beings are something that possesses this crazy working mind. It's not an awakened mind. It's a crazy working mind.
So there are microbes that if they are sense that they're in danger, they will do something to try to get to a safe place. Mingyur Rinpoche explained this way. I think this is very appropriate for Florida. A crocodile has compassion. When it's hungry, it attacks. And when it feels it's in danger, it retreats. How does that sound over in that part of the room?
Here's one too. If you put a hook in a fish's mouth and you bring it up and you put the fish in the boat, and the poor fish is flopping around in the boat,
Yep.
it's suffocating.
Uh-huh.
That's fear. So that's a very essential being.
Absolutely.
Medium.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's expressing fear, panic.
Yeah, so insects
Yep.
know the difference between pain and happiness, pleasure, pain. A mosquito comes to meat because it's hungry. Yes.
Open up the can of worms. There's the plant argument, right? Because like the tulips behind you are trying to find light sources. But are they happy or angry, upset about it? It's survival.
Well, I have an answer for you
Okay.
because I asked Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche this question. And this is what he said. We don't know if plants are sentient. How about that for an answer? And there have been a lot of studies since then that indicate that, for instance, trees communicate through their root system. And I'm very fond of black walnut trees. And black walnut trees, their bark, their nuts, their leaves, the nuts have a husk. All of it has a poison in it or a toxin in it that retards the growth of most other plants. And now, are they doing this purposely? I don't know. But they do that. Do not have a black walnut by your garden, whether you're growing flowers or vegetables, because the two do not mix.
I don't know where I heard this, but I heard that a good way to like tell if something's sentient is, because they're trying to protect themselves, they have a capability of great love because that's a kind of a self-love. Is that kind of protection, just like with the walnut trees? And that's where the capacity to love kind of springs from.
Definitely Mingyur Rinpoche was saying that about alligators. You don't think about alligators as being warm and fuzzy, but they love themselves.
Yeah.
When they're hungry, they'll find a meal.
Yeah, okay, got it. Now I get it.
Yeah, they'll find a meal when they're hungry.
Yeah. Okay.
And you hope that it's not you, the meal that they're looking for.
Lama, you recently were in the hospital for quite a long time.
Yes.
Did you think you were going to die when you were in the hospital?
I was in such poor shape that I didn't know what. I remember kind of hallucinating. I didn't realize I was hallucinating, but I was just out of it. They would ask me every morning, "Where are you?" And sometimes I gave them the right answer, and sometimes I didn't. And they never declared me incompetent, which kind of surprises me. And I had no extraordinary experiences, no out-of-body experiences, no light at the end of the tunnel, and da 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 da. It was just like,
But you hadn't died.
no, I hadn't died. I did not die and come back, but I was just close to death. I found out later that at one point they described my condition as catastrophic. And that does not sound like a good diagnosis. But Khenpo Ujin came and he did some prayers and some other things, and I started to improve. And I got motivated, like, I got to get out of here. This is not the place to hang out. This is not the place to hang out. So that's what I can tell you.
So I guess what I was wondering is, and maybe this is just a good lesson, is that we assume that, oh, well, I'm going to see death coming and I'm going to be able to get all tidied up for it when it comes. And it's not, even if you have robes on, that doesn't always mean you're going to have.
Right. My response to that approach is, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. No, my mind was severely affected, and they would take me to another part of the hospital for dialysis, and I vaguely remember being switched from the bed that I was in to a gurney, and then being wheeled around these passages in the elevator, but that's about it. And a lot of it I don't even remember. So yeah, don't think that somehow or another that you've prepared, and no problem. That's my advice. I was not in a good mental state. Go ahead.
I guess that's why you all tell us to keep practicing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep practicing.
When the time comes.
Yeah, keep practicing. And keep practicing. And it's good to then have your Dharma friends come and visit you and encourage you to practice, and help and pray for you too. I really felt very, very fortunate in that respect. Yes?
If you don't mind me asking, did you have a sense of fear? Somewhat, maybe?
Yeah, I can't remember, feeling a lot of anxiety. I just remember being out of it, just out of it, not being coherent, hallucinating, and but I don't remember being afraid of dying. I didn't know I was in catastrophic condition until long after I was discharged.
There you go.
Yeah, so the staff said I had more visitors than anybody else on the whole ward. And so I had lots of visitors. And then they would meet in the room right in front of me and talk behind my back right in front of me.
Could you follow them?
No, because they were just far enough away where I couldn't follow them. And afterwards, I gave them my advice, which was, have your meetings in another room, and then email me what you're emailing to everybody else. So that's my advice.
Okay.
Yeah. I like I said, the nurse would come in every day and say, do you know where you are? And sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. And it was a hospital I'd never been in before. In fact, I was in 3 hospitals. The first one, I went to the ER, and while I was there was a man that was pushing me around in a gurney, and he said, "You know, you deserve to be here." And he said, "A lot of people come to the ER and they really don't need it." And he said, "You deserve to be here." And I think within 2 hours they transported me to another hospital which had a higher level of care. And after 2 days in that hospital, they transferred me to a third hospital which had a higher level of care.
How long ago did this happen?
It started towards the end of September last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Recent. Oh, yeah.
I'm really a zombie.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. But.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that when they finally transferred me to I think it's called a swing unit, where you get occupational therapy, physical therapy, and so forth to help you then when you get released. Excuse me, discharged. You're released from a prison. Discharged, and but once I was there, I was highly motivated to get out, and I would have them put me in a wheelchair because I couldn't do it by myself. They wouldn't allow it. But then once I was in the wheelchair, I would get out in the hallway and I would just wheel up and down the hallways to work on muscle strength and body strength. And I was supposed to use a walker to go to the bathroom. Finally, I could go to the bathroom myself, but I had to have a staff member in there. And I kind of freaked her out because she gets me to the walker. And so I pick up the walker and walk into the bathroom. You're not supposed to do that. So I did cause a little problem. But I really went the extra mile to build up my body strength. And when I had a friend stay with me and drive me home, and I literally walked into the house from the car without assistance. And I never really used a walker or even a cane once I got home.
Sounds like your life force took over.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. And I was highly motivated.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad that you did.
I had one doctor that I saw a couple of weeks afterwards. They set up this appointment as I was being discharged. So I go back to the hospital and see him, and he comes into the room. "Why are you here?" And I told him, and he said, "Oh," and then he looked at my records, and he said, "You've made an amazing recovery." But part of it is the Dharma, part of it is just being stubborn. There are a lot of Scandinavians where I live, and I'm about as Scandinavian as you can get. And one of the jokes is that you can always tell a Norwegian, you just can't tell them much. But I saw a hand somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, there, okay.
Well, I can see an advantage to praying, to build my own compassion, or why pray for others? I don't mean to sound selfish, but what good does that do?
Well, it can benefit others, and you'll feel better too. That when you shift your concern from yourself to others, you don't worry about yourself so much. You're no longer fixating and over concentrating on yourself. Here's a story about my mother. She fell 2 different times. I think both times she tripped on a pet dog, had both hips replaced as a result of both falls, and she was in a wheelchair. Well, she developed dementia, and she would wander at night without even a cane. She had no trouble wandering around freely at night. And it's a state of mind. When you're focusing on yourself, so often it's poor me, poor me, poor me. And she had a tough life when she was a little girl. And she was obsessive about her health and so forth, but turned out that she was perfectly capable of walking around unassisted, without a walker, without a cane, without a wheelchair.
Earlier, when you asked for people we might include in the list, I considered asking, my sister and brother-in-law. He's suffering from dementia and she's suffering right along with it. But, I mean, that dementia and the whole thing, everything is their karma ripening, I suppose. How do my prayers change that or do anything for, or remind me that if perhaps they do something unpleasant, that I shouldn't get angry? That I understand. But how does this help him with his dementia?
Well, you might not be able to ease their suffering, but it's a very potent lesson. It could be you. It might be you later on. And the world is full of people that are suffering from dementia. And this can help you open up your heart to their suffering, even if you can't do anything about it. Now, there's a difference between opening up your heart and saying, I'm sorry that you're having this. Because then when you're saying, I'm sorry that you're having that, you're talking about your suffering, not their suffering. You're sorry. And it kind of can very quickly go into pity, where you feel superior. And it's very different than compassion, where there's more of an equal relationship. But it may be that there's nothing you can do to help that person, or it could be that there's something very simple that could be done. And I'm not sure what it would be. What I did with my mother, even before that set in, is there are what are called blessing pills that great masters have blessed. And she was very paranoid of Buddhism, so I would sneak them into her food. Yes, I did. I admit it. Yeah, and quite honestly, I think she improved. And then another time, the first time she expressed interest in Buddhism, I was leading a Buddhist chapel service at a college, and circumstances were right that she said she wanted to attend. She said she wasn't going to participate. And so we chanted Chen Rezi, and before that I explained a little bit about Chen Rezi, and afterwards had a Q&A, and after that it was done. And so I walked up to her, and she said this to me. Oh, you're a minister. I always wanted you to be a minister. This is after like 30 years. But yeah, Chen Rezi is, he's got some power.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the things totally became rosy after that, but it really did. That's when it really started to improve.
Good story. What
Yeah.
improved?
What's that?
What improved?
Well, she accepted me as being a Buddhist, and she was easier. She had been sexually assaulted repeatedly as a little girl in her home. I didn't know this at the time, but she was paranoid, she was controlling, she was mentally ill, she couldn't take care of herself, and she was trying to control me. And every time I talked about Buddhism, it was get out, stop, don't do it. And now, and she had always wanted me to be a minister, a Lutheran minister, a good Norwegian Lutheran minister. But now that stance softened, and it continued to soften. And then as they got older, I said, why don't you move up? They were living in Colorado Springs, which was about, I think 600-700 miles away from where I lived, maybe more. I said, why did you move up by me when you are ready to, and then I can help in your old age. And they're already in their mid-80s at this time. And finally they did. And so the last 6 years of their life, that would have been from mom 90 to 96, dad 88 to 94. They were still an hour and 20 minutes away, but I could see them fairly regularly. And things got better and better and better between us. Between mom and I, and dad and I. And part of it was just accepting them for the way they were and not wanting them to change in any way at all. It was just, this is the way they are. Learn to work with it skillfully. So when we would eat, Mom would always, she did not like me being a vegetarian. I had to eat meat. And I had to eat meat from her plate. How does that sound like a mother and a 4-year-old? So what I would do is I would order tea, and it would come in a saucer. So I would take the saucer and put it, and she would always sit next to me.
Keep an eye on you.
Yeah, she really liked me. And I would put it there between us. I said, put the meat there on that plate. And she would. And I'd said, I'll eat it later. And well, later never came. And she never complained. So, that diffused that. And so there were a lot of things like that I learned how to work skillfully with her, even though she was really wanting to control me, because that's how she controlled her fear, was by controlling external circumstances. Actually, this is what I was going to talk about tomorrow. But go ahead.
Lama, would you say that when we pray for others, we're loosening up our own attachment and creating the potential for other things to happen?
Yes, yeah, he said when we pray for others, are we loosening up our own attachment and making the possibility for other things to happen? Again, we're letting go of I want things my way. I saw a cartoon once, 4 panels. You had a group of Buddhist monks, and the one with the bullhorn was saying, "What do we want?" And the group responded, "Patience." Then the third panel was, "When do we want it?" The fourth one, "Now."
There have been hospital studies where they've had.
Can I finish up?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Thank you. So when we're praying for other people, we're letting go of our fixation on ourselves, our own wants and our needs, and we're putting it, lower than that, or at least equal of that with other people. And that will make us happier because we're causing our own pain and suffering when we're putting ourselves at the top and want these temporary things that never last anyway. Okay.
There's been hospital studies where they've had 2 groups of patients that they did not know whether somebody was praying for them or not, like a double-blind study. And I've always been a skeptic growing up. But the group of patients, and they were never told that somebody was praying for them. The group that had someone praying for them had better results than the group that did not have someone praying for them.
Okay. I've got 3 minutes to 4. And one last question or comment.
Can we talk about the boomies?
The boomies?
The boomies, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's right. So let me see here.
How do you spell it?
Bhumi and then S. And that's probably not in Sanskrit. We just, in English, we're putting that English S as plural. So let me see here. I'll go. You're going to get more than you want, but you're going to get it because you asked.
I want it. I want to know what it is.
Okay, so let's see here. I have to put my glasses on. And then I have to dedicate the merit. And I've got to prepare for a refuge ceremony. If you have taken refuge already, you're welcome to attend. And if you haven't and you're not going to be taking refuge, then you have to leave. That is the way it is done. Let's see here. I think I have to go to another place for this. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. I'm just going to give you the name of the different bhumis. So, the first one, which is the experience of emptiness, and that is called the joyous one. The second one is the stainless one. The third is the radiant one. I guess I should explain it just a little bit more. The stainless one is the perfection of discipline. The radiant one is emphasis on patience. Number 4 is the luminous one. This is exertion and diligence. The 5th one is called difficult to practice, and that is meditation, having a perfectly stable mind. I think you can understand that, why that's difficult.
Yeah.
And then manifest one is the sixth one, and that's wisdom. And I see I'm getting my microphone here all screwed up, but that's okay. We're ending this. The seventh one is the far-going one. This is skillful means. Number 8 is the unshakable one. And you're no longer shaken by your thoughts and projections. And then the one of excellent discriminating wisdom. And so you see things the way they are as well as the way they appear, which means you see the ultimate and you see the relative, and you can distinguish. The 10th one is cloud of Dharma, and this is the attainment of this primordial wisdom. The Karmapa and Dalai Lama are considered to be on that 10th bhumi. The 11th bhumi is complete Buddhahood. And so those are the bhumis.
So if you have moments of number 1 or the first one, but it's not, do you have to like completely be in a state of emptiness or understand it before you move to number 2?
No.
Okay.
No, what you're getting on that first one is you get a glimpse.
Okay, yeah, it just kind
Yeah.
of comes and goes.
Yeah, it comes and goes. And then from there on, you're perfecting it and deepening that experience and prolonging that experience. And then gradually it becomes stable.
Will you say the 10th one again?
That is cloud of Dharma. And again, you can, I'm sure if you Google these, you can come up with a list. It's so much easier today. When I first came in contact with computers, the computer, it was college, the computer had its own building, and the punch cards, and there was a courier that would take the punch cards to the computer, and a few days later you would get a printout.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, this is a different world that I was in. So those are the 10 bhumis. They're in Dharma paths. That's where I got these from. So I know where you can get a copy of Dharma paths. I think right in the next room.
And these are all states of awareness?
Say that again?
The bhumis are states of awareness?
Yeah, they're experiential, and they're working on these things. Yeah, it's awareness, experiential. You've gone beyond, you might say, book learning.
Yeah. Where you have a lived moment of emptiness or a lived moment of being stainless.
Yeah, and you're concentrating on your ethical conduct. I mean, you're really perfecting it. You're really perfecting it. You're not just, okay, I should be this way, da 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 da. I should avoid that, da da da. You're perfecting it. Maybe use the common language. You're getting down to business. Yeah. What would you say, Mike?
Sounds good. Down to business.
Yeah. Now you're a therapist, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and as you know, some patients, you can transmit information and they'll get down to business and do the work and experience the results.
Yes.
And others, a year, 2, 3 years later, they're the same place. So that's the difference, is that here you are really experiencing the benefits of your Dharma practice. And you are very interested and diligent in practice and perfecting yourself. I think that's a good way to put it.
The practice of perfecting yourself.
The practice of perfecting yourself, yes. But tomorrow we could talk about this more. We will, in fact. I guarantee it. I'm going to be here tomorrow. And I have plenty more stories and jokes to tell. And so, as they say, to be continued. And I would be delighted if all of you can be here tomorrow too, even if it's only for one session. So, Michael, would you like to? Can we do a short version of the dedication? Because I would like to work on the refuge ceremony, and then I'd like to do the refuge ceremony, and then I'd like to proceed with the rest of the day.
Thank you, Lama. Thank you for everyone for teaching this afternoon. Let's dedicate the merit of today's teaching, our contemplation, listening. This prayer is marked at the bottom as page 8 of our text. It's just 2 pages from the very back. It's the one prayer. And we dedicate all the virtue to all sentient beings without exception. O Sanjay Kusone Pejen Ladam Chani Min Krudem Pejen Ladam Yen Yun Niche Dun Pejen Laki Jitayo Wamon Lam Drudiro Kuntu Sampo Deyande Gente Deda Kunge Jesu Dalojing Gewalida Tam Chevaradu. Okay,